Hello everyone, my name is Dusk and welcome to another episode of Talon's Video Guides. In this guide I'm going to go over a quick introduction on just how damage works and my experiences with damage. I know that I haven't been able to find any kind of hard number formulas that I can go over, but as playing Demon Hunter a little bit, I'm able to just pick up on some things and I'll share those tips with you guys. And so first of all, as a Demon Hunter or Wizard class, you can build a little bit more glass cannony compared to a Barbarian or Monk class, which, you know, obviously they're melee classes, so they have to tank a little bit more, which means that they have to focus a little bit more on armor and vitality, and they have passives that help them do that. I think both Barbarian and Monks actually have passives that convert their strength into armor and dexterity into armor for Barbarians and Monks, respectively. And anyway, though, as a ranged hero like the Demon Hunter, I really like to prioritize damage because you can join a party where the Barbarian is going to take damage and the Demon Hunter is going to be able to deal a lot of damage without actually having to worry about damage. And so how damage, I believe, is calculated is it's going to be based on your dexterity. So the two most important attributes for your class is always going to be your primary attribute and your vitality. And just an interesting side note, your vitality, the amount of life you get per point of vitality actually scales with your level, so that's nice. But anyway, you always want to be getting your primary attribute and your vitality, and so your primary attribute is going to be increasing your damage. Obviously your vitality is going to be increasing your health, and so that's why you see sometimes I'm getting health and sometimes I'm getting vitality. The other attributes really don't help you, so just don't even worry about them. And so right now the number one most important piece of equipment obviously is going to be your crossbow, and so your primary weapon in this case is going to be a crossbow. I'm going to be just using Demon Hunter analogies, but you can apply these principles to both the Monk and the Barbarian regarding dual wielding. And so obviously you want to get enough health where you don't die to everything immediately, and then you want to actually get an ability that helps you regenerate health. So I have one. It gives me 30% life leech, so I use that. I basically get full health. And the two attributes, as you can see, I'm not even worrying about anything else. I just want dex and vitality. So as you can see, without any items, my vitality is at 110 and my dex is at 163. So I'm going to put on my items right now, and then we're going to see how my prioritizing has changed that skill set. So as you can see, just putting everything on. The only two attributes I'm worried about is your primary and vitality. So just going to keep that in mind. So as you can see, this is my best bow right now, and I have 1,465 armor, which is okay, but more importantly I have 13k health, which is super important, especially when you're in hell like me. And I also have about 5.7k damage. And so my setup that I chose to maximize my damage, first of all, I'm putting just dexterity gems and everything because I'm able to get vitality just from certain items. And it's just really useful just to get damage when you have enough health. You want to get enough health where you're not able to get one-shotted or two-shotted, but three-shotted is okay in my book. And so the number one item is going to be your primary item. The number two item that you want to put focus on to maximizing your DPS is your offhand. And then after that, you got your 2 rings and your amulet, and then after that is going to be the rest of your items. Now, the primary attribute you're going to be getting from the rest of your items with regards to increasing your damage is just going to be adding your primary stat. And so as you can see, each point in dexterity adds 1% damage to me. That's why I have a 970% damage increase. And why is your main hand your primary damage source? Obviously because it's the weapon you're using, it's going to be most important. But the number that you want to look out for is basically, if you take a look at this weapon, you're able to see the damage per second just total, and that calculates in your damage, your attacks, and then any kind of bonus damage and any kind of primary attribute gained. Now, if you take a look at this, it's really important to note that any kind of bonus damage. So in this weapon, I got 58 to 126 lightning damage. That is deceiving in that it gives you a lot of bonus DPS, but what you really want is just raw damage. You don't want lightning damage, you just want straight up raw damage. And so as you can see, this bow has 79 to 247. In my rings and amulets, you basically want attack speed and or damage, and what you can do is just get a separate ring or amulet, and then you can compare the two pretty easily. And so, as you can see here, if you mouse over like another bow, for example, you're able to see changes in your stat if equipped. So this bow obviously does less damage, and that's basically the metric that I go by. This damage calculates in everything, including attack speed and critical hit chance, so it's really, really nice, and it just takes all the math out for it. But for rings and amulets, you're generally going to be able to find plus damage or plus attack speed rings, and these are going to be the ones that increase your damage significantly more than your primary attribute. So I'm level 52 right now, and I could probably get a plus 300 dex ring, and it's still not going to be as good as a plus 6 to 12 damage ring. And so getting plus damage, that's the holy grail of what you want to get. After that, you want to get attack speed. My attack speed is already pretty high. I believe it's 2.16, and so I'm getting diminishing returns on attack speed. But maximizing your damage, super, super important. Sorry about that. And so as you can see, all my rings and amulets have plus damage, and any chance I get, I add dex. That'll help me get even more damage. And then now let's talk a little bit about this is kind of DM Hunter specific, but let's talk a little bit about if you want to go dual crossbows or dual wields in general, or you want to go, you know, a weapon and a shield, or just a two-handed weapon. Now, in this game, especially for DM Hunter, they're always able to equip a quiver, and that's not the case for a barbarian, for example, who can go a two-handed weapon and no offhand. In this game, you can get a two-handed crossbow and then get a quiver. So that's technically not applicable. But what are the differences between having a two-handed weapon and a one-handed weapon? Well, first of all, you can compare just straight up DPS, but the actual difference is that when you get a two-handed weapon, you get an innate bonus of 15% attack speed. So as you can see, my attack speed went up to 2.22. If I attach my quiver, it's only 2.16, and the difference isn't that much because my quiver also adds 11% attack speed. So I'm basically getting 4% more attack speed when I add a two-handed weapon. Now, the drawbacks of getting a two-handed weapon is obviously you're gonna have to repair them, but that's not really that big of a deal. The main drawback is that you're gonna be shooting with one hand and then the other hand, and so the damage is gonna go down if you have one significantly worse. So as you can see, I'm actually only doing 300 damage less without this crossbow, and when I equip a quiver, I'm doing significantly more damage. And so when you're dual wielding, and this applies to all classes, when you're dual wielding, it averages out the damage between your two weapons, and also gives you a plus 15% attack speed that's going to be applied to your damage. And so I'm actually putting on a quiver right now, and that's going to increase my overall attack speed, especially on the Demon Hunter. And that's just because when you have an item like this that's your offhand, I know this doesn't apply to Monk or Barbarian, so sorry about that, but when you have an item like this as your offhand, you're able to just get purely the stats. There's no averaging thing. You're getting just purely the stats from the quiver. And so if you're getting more than 15% attack speed plus something else, in this case I'm getting 127 dexterity, that's going to give me a lot more damage, especially since this bow actually does less damage than this bow. And so just keep that in mind, guys, if you want to maximize your DPS. Always make sure to consult this thing, and then keep in mind that having more or less attack speed can give you more or less utility. And what I mean by that is if you have something that generates, you know, fury, hatred, spirit, or whatever, faster attack speed is going to generate that faster. That's not going to be shown through this damage thing. However, if you have abilities that take advantage of range or do a lot of AoE, bigger weapons that generally attack slower are going to help you more if you want to one-shot things, and they also look cooler. So just keep that in mind as well. This is an introductory guide, so if you guys have any questions or comments, I didn't cover, you know, too much, hopefully. Or not hopefully, but I just didn't cover too much. And so if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it in the section below. Otherwise, my name is Dusk, and I